Welcome, Kyle, to the Leaders Who Care series. Great to have you here, man.
My pleasure, Mark. Thanks for having me.
You're already bringing positive energy with that smile and that glow and everything. You're not pregnant, are you?
No.
Man. And the message from God behind you with the light. It's all perfect. So we're in good shape. We're in good shape for this. No, really welcome. People are going to see why you belong on a Leaders Who Care series, and some of the great stuff that you're playing with and whatnot is just great. But let's start with telling us a little bit about Kyle. And I always have to tell this to males more than females. It's not, this is the question is not about what you do or what you're doing. This is about where you're from originally. Where are you now? What about family? Anything you feel comfortable telling us about parents, siblings, kids you know about, kids you don't know about. Things like whatever. And maybe something you've never told anybody and you want to reveal to the world now. That's always fun too. But so tell us about Kyle.
Sure. Well, I'm really grateful to be here. I was born in California at Stanford Hospital, although I lived a little bit of time in Amsterdam, was lucky enough to live on a farm in Vermont and in Copenhagen before now settling in New York. So a little bit of quite a few places. Big
Hmm.
fan of music, singing, playing the oboe, ironically.
Wow. All right.
and um and creating things, whether Legos or taking care of plants or doing robotics, things of that sort.
Brothers, sisters.
Yeah, youngest of four. So
Wow.
older sister at top, more of a matriarchal family, and then two brothers. One who's a musician in LA, the other who's getting his master's now. Pretty proud of him at Stanford, uh,
Wow.
his MBA, and then my sister also, who works in technology and sustainability.
Not bad. Go parents. I'll tell you. Are your parents around?
Yes, yeah, both of them also in the Bay Area. Um, my mom working in academics with Stanford, and my dad in tech in the Bay Area.
Who would have thought? Um, no, that's great. Did you as the fourth on the list there, were you taken care of or beaten up?
Actually, I would say very much uh, taken care of. I mean, our family, before I was born, had a caretaker, right, who stayed with me all through my life growing up and who I deeply attribute a lot of my values to
Hmm.
from Peru. And so I think there was a lot of support growing up and explore, like the opportunity to explore and be myself, which I know is something I shouldn't take for granted.
Yeah, good for you for all of that. So you started telling a little bit about some places you lived and when you were a kid, was Lego the number one thing for you, or did you have the lemonade stand entrepreneur thing going, or music, or what? Or all of the above?
Yeah. Yeah, all of the above. We had a lemonade stand, and only at the end did we realize, because of where we were, that if you didn't charge and you asked people to pay what they liked, you actually received more. And then we donated 50% to charity, which as a kid I did not like, but now I'm grateful for. And we had to calculate the cost of like the lemons and things of that sort,
That's
comparing.
the whole point.
Yeah, it was a mini business. Otherwise, yeah, we weren't allowed to do any technology or games starting at 8, and so before 8 o'clock. And so my parents, who would wake up really at like 7:55 right beforehand, when I was younger and really wanted to play games, I used to play and then stop and switch to Legos. At a certain point, though, it switched, and I just would wake up at 6 a.m. or earlier and just play with Legos until like breakfast or lunch.
That's interesting. Legos have had a big impact on a lot of young people, especially before technology. But I find a lot of them, like playing with Legos because it's a break from the technology as well, and it's different. It seems that your mind operates a little bit differently.
Yeah, I mean, you get lost in the characters and their roles. I always like doing like world building, almost like Lord of the Rings style of like the person, their equipment and their explorations. And we had a lot, we had these huge bins of just like mess of Lego. Not like any sets or stuff like that, just random stuff to play and explore with, which
Yeah.
I appreciate because you could build anything.
Well, and that's imagination, right? And we need a lot more imagination. We have, space stuff happening now, which is great, and I had that a lot when I was a kid, and that was so incredible just watching all that. And then it took a long time to come back, but it's finally back, and so you have to get your imagination, somehow. And it's good. I'll tell the Lego guys in Denmark that you were a big fan of
Yeah.
them.
Well, I
Um,
lived in Copenhagen and I wanted to make it out, but it's really in the middle of nowhere. So it's hard to get to the original Legos.
did you have clogs? Did you wear clogs in the?
No, but in Amsterdam we did have little clogs and we kept that tradition when we'd leave them out on Svart Piet Day, I believe, and then you'd get like a chocolate coin inside of them.
Nice. Nice. That good. Considering I love coins and chocolate, that would be fantastic for me to have
Did
something
you,
like that.
do
So
you
like,
distinguish the two separately, coins and chocolate?
well, so for example, I'm Jewish and there's a holiday we get what they call Hanukkah gelt.
Yeah,
And
I'm with you
yeah,
there.
right. So you could
Some reason we got the same Hanukkah gelt.
yeah, I guess so. It wasn't devalued or anything. It was amazing. And delicious too. So during high school, you mentioned this, you were with, yeah, you did something with a Vermont organic farm. Is that where you said you lived for a bit?
Yeah, yeah. I left the California to go live in Vermont on a farm. It was a semester program called the Mountain School, and it really lets you explore yourself, go out into nature. It was 300 acres of an organic farm. We
Wow.
had cows and chickens and sheep and an alpaca, which actually takes care of the sheep and protects them. We would that was the first place I did a solo. They trained you for a 3-day solo experience
Wow.
in nature where the only way to connect was you'd go down to the stream twice a day and take a flag and plant it, and then someone would walk up the stream and put them down, basically making sure that you're alive. But that was it. That was the only proof that there was other people out there.
Wow.
And whereas there was one experience too where Vermont has this open borders law, you can cross any territory. So they drove us randomly to the different places, and then in little groups we it took a couple hours. You'd take a compass, figure out where you were from the topography, and find your way back to the farm.
Well, this is the preface to the show Survivor. Not as bad, I don't think, but, or good, whichever way you look at it. But
One of my friends went on that show. I was happy to give one of the recommendations for her. Oh, I
oh,
got
that's cool. But what a
yeah.
great experience that is. To the point now it's funny how things turn around. Now people pay to go be on a farm because they want to get back to basics. They want to get back to nature. That kind of shows how we've gone a little bit. And I do a lot of sports analogies, and back to basics is always a key phrase. Like, because if you don't have any momentum or this or that, you want to change, you go back to basics, and
Yeah.
it works. And I find that great. What about, is it pronounced Ragazzi? You were in a Ragazzi choir?
Yeah, ragazzi.
Ragazzi.
Quickly to your other point, I'm sure we'll get to back to basics a lot because it like tuning to spirituality in those communities is also really
Right.
helpful. That's true, like basics of community. But yes, Ragazzi was a all boys singing choir that I did for wow, almost 10 years maybe, and we traveled the world singing for different communities and groups. And again, just a
Wow.
great way to explore, be creative, express yourself, find stage confidence and get to know different communities.
Be on a team. I think synchronized.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely to your point, I mean, if you have a part and you're all singing the same part or harmonizing, or when the voices work together, that's a great place to be.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to see the Vienna Boys Choir sing at the church in Vienna.
Awesome.
Actually, it was like spectacular. So, and I watch America's Got Talent, so I see the choirs there, um,
Yeah.
and they're pretty good actually. So you got your bachelor's in applied science, if I'm not mistaken, on
Yes.
economics and environmental policy at Middlebury, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What were you envisioning when you took that and when you graduated?
Good question. So I'm grateful. I was one of few who I entered college with actually the same double major planned as what I graduated with. So my goal was always to work in the sustainability space, supporting future. I guess I wanted to work in the space of supporting the future. And so I also worked throughout college in different startups or companies of that nature. I wrote a children's book and had a blog at one point too on offshore wind energy, which now I look very fondly back to, but I know that industry is a little bit on pause.
You
And
think?
Yeah, we don't
Somebody doesn't like windmills.
have but
But
yeah,
back then, so what were you thinking?
I didn't know exactly where I would go or specifically what I would do, but I was just following what really excited me. I love numbers, like the kid who really likes numbers, right? And I used to play uh, I love Sudoku and crosswords and all chess puzzles and was the co-president of a chess club for 6 years. Like I really liked the numbers and math side of things, and
Hmm.
economics was cool to me. I know that sounds weird to a lot of people, and I'm okay with that, but I
That's the better
appreciate
statement. You
that.
should be okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived on that farm, for example, we had a math teacher and he and I actually are because this farm school would support your curriculum based on the school you were coming from. So my high school had a very accelerated math course, and what that resulted to is I would take classes one-on-one with my math teacher. And
Wow.
instead of teaching me just the concepts, we actually were diving into mathematical history, like who created this and why? What is the purpose of this math? And especially when I did a 3-day solo, and was just like experiencing nature and seeing geometry shapes and the way that the sun sets on a Vermont landscape, which is gorgeous, or seeing the night sky, it started to make more sense.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I love it because, well, first of all, I'm from Montreal. I went to Vermont a lot, and it is beautiful all the time there. Although I don't miss winter much,
Yeah.
but the, the 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 ability to understand where things were derived from, how important that is, and how it really sheds a light on the purpose of it and the value of it at a time, rather than just take for granted that we have it and so on. So that's pretty amazing that you got to do that.
Yeah. I think of it as yeah, economics is like solving puzzles, right? And numbers. So that's where the Lego side comes in. It's ironic. I have Lego flowers next to me that maybe represent that. And then I have real flowers, which is more the environmental side, not environmental based on studies, but just like the natural landscape that I got to live in and that we all live in, regardless of how much we distance ourselves from it.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. And you were talking a little bit about some of the opportunities you had, I think, while you were at Middlebury. I mean, in branding, brand ambassador, I guess. You were, and you sustainability intern at Stanford, and you were involved in marketing communications at Palo Alto Utilities.
Mhm.
Not to mention the wind stuff that you noted that we're not doing anymore apparently in this country. And also with this pronounced Lighton.
Yeah, so I guess on throughout the second half of college was more I lived in on Duke campus and worked in thermoelectric cooling systems before finally switching to Lighton, which was the simplest form was they took CH4 methane and split it into C carbon and 2H2 pure hydrogen. And hydrogen originally being the main product, this byproduct, this carbon turned out to be a new type of carbon structure that was three-dimensional graphene. In other words, it was uh, they could tune a material that had extreme conductivity and surface area, which meant it was great for sensor technology. And I got to have a patent with them. And in that regard, it
Wow.
was great for coating lithium sulfur batteries in it, which meant that you could actually take sulfur, a waste product from refineries, and use that as the cathode for batteries with double the energy density, which was super exciting
I
and actually
bet.
uh, led to some awesome experiences. And then otherwise, it was just a great material. I mean, you could use it. They were exploring into merging it with other materials together for reducing the amount of polyester needed for plastics and thus having a lower cost and lower carbon footprint. You could merge it with cements. And there was tons of they're still going. I think they have almost 900 patents now. They just bought Northvolt. They're cruising, and it's exciting to see them grow. I'm really grateful that I could be a part of that journey.
So you had some experiences, some inflection points that happened there during that time, including going to Dubai with COP 28, right?
Yeah, I got to skip 3 weeks of school and finals. I was like, I went to my classes and was like, I'm gonna skip finals. And they all said respectfully, no. But I handed so I was always a week ahead of school and very proud of that fact. That week one of school, I took the syllabuses, put it into the calendar, and did one and two of homework. So the first weekend was like I was just locked in, set up my room, make it feel nice for me, and get ahead. And so when I proposed that I was leaving for this long period of time, most of the classes I just turned in the rest of the work, the final paper, project, things of that nature. There's one that was really tricky because it was a presentation. We were doing a project with the Vermont government on battery recycling and how that process could work, right? Because that's a big challenge now. And we had interviewed like local fire chiefs, and we had gone to like sites for waste dumps and seen that these batteries are just going to waste there. But everything else, I mean, it was smooth sailing. They somehow I got approval from the school to go.
Well, because you were getting stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah, took the selfie next to Bill Gates. That was cool. Got to
Nice.
get into some great talks and meet a lot of incredible people in the UAE and who attended that conference.
No, that those are the things that open up your mind even more, and the people you meet and stuff.
Precisely.
It's pretty incredible. And Dubai, I don't think they use windmills either, but they don't have any room for windmills, mind you. At least not as much room. But
Yeah.
they say and it's true. The fourth industrial revolution is about technology and certainly about AI, without a doubt.
Mhm.
But they say the fifth's also about humanity, and it's become a big topic, obviously, about how you balance those. And that's where I come to something you're doing called Tribe. Can you share with us why and how Tribe happened? What is the idea? What's the vision, the mission? And please talk about, you have an extra eye in there, right?
Yes. Yeah. So Tribe was really derived as a gift to my best friend, who I met when I was living abroad in Copenhagen. Both of he and I had finished a very big chapter of our lives. He had on his end, he had run a nonprofit for 5 years called Urban Beat, and they had built up farms for local communities, things of that nature, so that everybody had access to fresh food. But he couldn't continue in college through his junior year, and so in talking to him and getting to know it a few years later, I sent him a text saying, "Hey, what if I built a community that was like bringing people together that were really impactful? Those I had met in Dubai and across the world, not just because we had a group chat, but because we had shared impact. And what if the solution that we had, this community centered around sort of philanthropy, uh, was the solution to the problem he had? So we got addicted to his problem and solved Tribe, which now is a community that helps seasoned nonprofit founders scale through college. Not the ones just getting started, although we'd love to support them, but the ones who worked for years and continued into college, not because they didn't just use their nonprofit as a means for an application, but because they cared about impact over income, right? So we have cohorts and we give them grants ourselves. We give them access to mentors. We give them funding. Sorry, we already said funding, grants, mentorship. We put on a summit for them. We flew them into New York. We have a retreat so that they don't burn out, which is core to our process. And our 3 year program, you could think of almost as a school or accelerator because
Hmm.
it provides them the holistic first year identity for what they're doing, second year in intention, and with our podcasts and documentaries, putting the visibility up on the map, and lastly, helping them with how are they going to continue post grad.
Now, when you say seasoned and they're a sophomore, what does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. So for our first cohort, for example, there were four nonprofit founders and collectively over a quarter decade of experience. So our oldest had worked on their nonprofit for 9 years, whilst then now being a rising junior in college, and the others for 6 years,
So they started in high school,
middle school or elementary school.
or even, yeah, which is pretty amazing,
Yeah,
and pretty fantastic, because younger people have they don't pay attention to somebody saying you can't do it type of deal.
precisely.
Yeah,
Yeah, they actually care about, I mean, we're all part of the same community and facing the same problems. So if we're going to be around, hopefully the longest, then we might as well be the largest part of the solution.
yeah, that's fantastic. So what is now? what does now look like and what's ahead for you? And with AI moving like fast and furious, for some entrepreneurs who are not tech people, but they're really smart people, maybe they invent a cup or maybe they invent a medical thing or maybe they invent something, but they're not tech people. And AI is like, holy cow, how do we move forward? How do we move forward type of thing. And you're founder now and COO of TRIIBE. How do you see this all? How do you see yourself impacting that? And why is it a passion of yours?
Good question. In the front of, are you asking about how we relate tribe to AI in this new revolution?
Well, it's as part of it, as part of it, because you're going to have maybe seasoned, young people come into this, and they may have, maybe doing something with flowers or whatever. I don't know, whatever it may be that, and maybe they need the most help with scaling that, and they don't really know about AI. They might not even know, not be tech people.
Good
How do you
question.
how do you play all that?
Well, first, I would say for our cohort members, right, the areas that they focus on, one is the largest youth cancer nonprofit, one supports food drives and homeless shelters for youth activation, one helps send computers to Haiti and Dominican Republic so that people who don't live in a first world country or know English can learn about computer science and AI,
Awesome.
to your point. And the last is in education and curriculums workshops for elementary schoolers on sustainable solutions. So while I would say they're all very, very proactive and adept. That may not always be the case, but they are all aware of what's going on and how they fit in. They've had to be because they're all founders and CEOs for years.
Also, they've grown, I guess they're growing up with it at the
Yeah,
same
we
time.
it is much more ingrained in our and for Tribe too. I mean, we would not have been able to create nearly at the pace of what we were doing without constant conversations and plans, it using it for research and development. Right? Of course, I'm very proud that we at the moment do not believe AI can replace language and literature experience. And so we do write everything by hand. We can come up with ideas, but then it's our language that tunes it. Even the logo that we designed was something that started with a bunch of different designs that AI helped us with. And then it was honestly because I didn't afford Photoshop. It was using preview and taking pieces together. Right. And then we got much better and built a nicer, like cleaner one.
No, it's fantastic.
Yes.
I don't know if I told you this when we talked. There's a professor, I can't remember which college. He has the students can't bring the phone in and they have to take notes,
Mm.
writing the notes. And he does that because if they're recording it or whatever, they're not thinking the same way. If they have to rate it, and you can't rate as fast as you can type all the stuff that someone says, then your brain has to determine what's the most important stuff that I got to write down that I'm hearing. And so it becomes
Yeah.
really using your mind type of thing over that.
Absolutely. I would say I think there is a slight conflation with the amount of time someone uses to study. So I myself sometimes I take notes online as well as in person. I fill up notebooks. I'm pretty happy to see a notebook filled. But then I take the notes and transfer again over to a directory where we store notes and
Oh,
information.
sure.
So by doing it and having that second practice after sleeping on it, that helps me remember more what's going on. I think it's the same with practicing with names, right? Middlebury was a fantastic college because of its liberal arts aspect. So I could take, shout out Professor Tim Nguyen, I could take a class in neuroscience and business and learn about, you know, basically if you keep saying that you're bad at names, you become bad at names.
Right.
But if you just practice and repeat their names a few times when you meet people and are honest about when you forget, Mark, then you get a lot better at it. And so
Yeah,
by
you're
the same
100%
token,
right. The minute you put it out there, then as they say, you're going to be right. You won't know how to do it.
yeah. So by the same token, if I'm recording something because I say, oh, I'm not going to be able to just remember it off the fly, then it's not really the way that you take notes. It's actually the way you're thinking about it that's going to affect you. Whereas if I'm taking notes because I'm so excited to share it with someone who can't make the call, but I know that the notes aren't really for me, then I've already built up my own filing cabinet. Then it's great.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant. Um, how do you pick your cohorts? How does that happen in Tribe?
Good question. We start with blind applications. So instead of requiring a pitch deck or something professional, since we're working with people in college, we ask them for a 5-minute video. It's their why, it's what they're trying to work on, and what the impact of the grants in this community will do for them. And so upon application, then we have a small cohort inside, sorry, don't want to mix up words, a small committee inside that listens blindly. And in the first few seconds, you can immediately tell those that have energy and passion about what they're doing. They're
Right.
like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to tell you about." I mean, we literally we have to like pause, like recount, and it's great. I mean, they're in their world,
Yeah.
right? Our job as tribe is more like the backdrop, right? The night sky that lets the stars burn bright, not burn out, is to highlight that. Take that energy and just throw it out there in the best way possible to people who deserve to see it. Not just the negative energy we're seeing, but someone who has so much overwhelmingly positive excitement that they can make you feel better about your day, right? That you can get inspired because young people are doing it, that anybody can do it. Not just seeing someone 30 years down the road and saying, okay, I got to work to get to where I can start.
Yeah, it's fun because in our Leadership Care series a few months back we started bringing in under 18-year-olds too.
Mm.
And so I may have some future cohorts to you that are right now 11, 12, 13, 14 that are doing amazing stuff already. Um,
Well, and to your
so
point there too, our we have a podcast coming soon where we split off between the cohort edition and legacy edition. And the idea is by alternating, by eliminating this age bias and just hearing about people doing work, or maybe halfway in the video you realize, oh my goodness, this person's in college versus this person is 30, 40, 60, 80, right? You just respect the work they're doing and the drive, the impact it's making, right? That's irrelevant to age. I would say I would agree. I mean, we have a prefrontal cortex, it does develop, but that doesn't stop you from making impact, right?
yeah, some people don't have prefrontal cortex. So, but you're right about age. We focus so much on experiences rather than years of experience,
Yeah,
um, because somebody can be really smart at 18 and maybe even then has had more experiences with whatever it may be than someone who's, 88 that had none and stuff like that. How do you how do you combine, how does being a sustainable, I think you call it a sustainable associate, work that you do as a sustainable associate, how do you combine
yeah.
that? Do they align at all or are they just separate, separate things that you do?
Good question. Yeah, I'm grateful. I have a day job. I was the first sustainability hire for a company called turtle.com. And that
You
helps
should probably
sustain.
say that slowly, right? Turtle.
Yeah, but that helps sustain me. Whereas this is the work that I do on my weekends, or it's like the 9 to 5 versus the 5 to 9, or however you want to really stretch those
I
numbers.
know. I've been there.
It's a
Doing that years and years ago, and it's fun. But I did read about something you did with an electrical distributor, right?
Yeah, so Turtle is a 102-year-old private women-owned electrical distribution company, upon other things. But yes.
Okay, and it's 102 years old.
Yeah, fourth generation women-owned. So the fifth generation daughter who's come and is taking over is actually my boss. She came back to be in philanthropy and the social impact space.
That's amazing. Good job getting that gig. That's really nice. That goes in there too. Well, first of all, congrats on all you're doing. I think Tribe is a spectacular idea, and it gives young people a opportunity to really, be even better than they ever thought, and give them confidence. And we all just need one believer in us, even, and that makes a big difference in the world. So. With that, in LA, we say keep them wanting more so we can do a sequel. So I only have one more question then, because we love sequels in LA, obviously, and even windmills sometimes. But a client told me in 2021, describing the year 2020, pandemic year, a client told me, he said, Mark, it was the year that flew by slowly. And when he said that, it really hit home. And even now, so many people feel like COVID was both yesterday and years ago. It's kind of like a blend. So we're at almost the end of 2025 already, amazingly. What are you most grateful for, and what are you most hopeful for?
I'm very grateful. I'm really grateful to my team. I mean, I am so inspired and look up to every single person. That tribe is almost, we just broke 20 people that are inside. And so for me, I mean, I like to see the organization structure as a reverse pyramid, right? My job is to serve all of them. I'm overly inspired by all of them. And quite frankly, can't believe that many of these people are in the group. I know at the start, I went up to 11 people and said, "Hey, this is my community. You'd be the 11 to join. Check out these awesome 10 others." Right. And they were like, "Oh, if these 10 other people are in it, of course I'll join." So that worked out for me pretty well. Because say
The
I got
key
really
is,
lucky.
how did you get the first one?
Oh, that was me.
I mean, well, the one after you, I mean.
Oh, that was the guy where I was like, I built this whole thing for you. I hit him a text, and then 4 days later, a full PowerPoint with like 20 slides and a plan. And then our CTO came on too right after.
There
I
you
think,
go.
I mean, there was just a lot of excitement about what this could be, and then it was just boom. So yeah, I would say I'm so excited for the fact that our we are about to enter the fall semester again. We have another cohort coming on soon. We've already received applications and are excited for more. We have more interns coming on, which is incredible. I mean, we are a young and budding philanthropist. I'm a young budding philanthropreneur, and this community that supports next generations is a great way to get involved, right? It's support that stands beside youth, not above it. So I'm excited for our team to grow. We're actually checking out a building. We were going to check it yesterday, but a floor on Monday during the holiday to see about a office space for us, right? That we can host our podcast and more in a more professional setting. So I'm really looking forward to where this is going, right? We have a lot more impact to make, and we're just scratching the surface of our programming, and what we've already accomplished is great, but I really do feel like we're just starting the milestones. So I'm looking forward to just finalizing things, building the better partnerships and sponsorships that take Tribe to the next level.
No, way to go. Well, I'm grateful that I have a new friend. That's always cool. Um, but I'm also super grateful and probably hopeful for the same thing, that you are a leader who cares, that are bringing people together to do good things. And when you enlighten and be more interested in other people, then great things happen for everybody. And so way to go, man. And thanks for sharing on the Leaders Who Care series.
Well, thank you. I'm really grateful, Mark. This is incredible. I really appreciate it.
My privilege, my privilege, my pleasure. You got it.